Welcome to Southport, Australia's capital of dirty money and even dirtier people. The Gold Coast earned its name from greedy gold diggers and con men. In Southport, everybody's on the take. Then there's the Tuxedo Crime Gang, the apex predators of the criminal world. That's what this story's really about. So if you're making dirty money on the sly, watch your back, because in Southport, you're fair game. Today's story is about a man who seemed to have it all. From the outside, Craig had the perfect life, a mansion in a gated community on Hope Island, a devoted wife, Robin, 2 kids in private school, and respect in the community as pastor of the Church of Jesus, also on Hope Island, a born-again church famous for lively services where people regularly speak in tongues.
Give it to me, Jesus, Jesus.
From the outside, everything looked perfect. How a pastor could afford such a luxurious lifestyle? Well, no one had really stopped to wonder. Now, before we go any further, I should tell you a little about Hope Island. Like much of the Gold Coast, it's a very shady place. It was named after Lewis Hope, a shifty sugar-cane plantation owner who used islanders as slave labor back when the place was all sugarcane. Today, it's an island of gated communities built with dirty money where shonky characters hide behind gates and security cameras. Back to the story. Craig, the clean-cut family man, a man of God, was actually a remarkably sneaky fellow. He faithfully attended not only Sunday service but also several dating sites, including Hot Sugar and Allowance Affairs. And it was on Hot Sugar where Craig, using the username Choirboy Craig, first met Julie, a girl half his age, whose screen name was Almost a Virgin. After a little online flirting and a few carefully chosen messages, the two quickly arranged to meet. Before long, Craig found himself sitting across from Julie at George's Paragon, widely known as one of the best restaurants on the coast. And there they sat, enjoying lunch together, pretending it was all perfectly innocent.
You look absolutely stunning today.
You look pretty hot yourself.
Craig felt rather pleased with himself. After all, a secret lunch with a girl half his age would be quite the feather in the cap. In his mind, he was the clever one, smooth, calculating, quietly working his charm. Julie, meanwhile, listened with great interest. At one point, she mentioned, rather innocently, that she was a university student who sometimes struggled to cover expenses. Uni wasn't cheap, she explained, and a little extra money here and there certainly helped. That seemed to get Craig going nicely. Craig didn't mind a bit of gentle big-noting. Before long, he was casually mentioning the 60-foot cruiser made in Italy, and how he lived in a waterfront mansion inside a gated community, enjoying a rather comfortable life. And while Craig didn't quite spell it out, he hinted that he was in a rather fortunate line of work, one where people rather regularly just handed him tax-free cash. Julie nodded politely and smiled. She also made sure to get Craig's phone number. She explained helpfully that she would only ever call from a private number, and if she ever texted him, it would always be something perfectly harmless, the sort of message that would look completely innocent if anyone else happened to read it. Craig thought that sounded very sensible indeed, but poor old Pastor Craig, what he didn't realize was that he had wandered straight into the oldest trap known to mankind, the classic honey trap. Every message Craig had sent on Hot Sugar, recorded. Every flirtatious word, saved. Every boast over lunch, carefully captured. While Craig believed he was simply enjoying a quiet meal with Julie, 2 other members of the Tuxedo Crime Gang were seated nearby, politely eating their lunches and discreetly filming the entire performance. Eventually, the lunch came to an end. Craig paid the bill, producing a thick wad of $100 notes and settling it in cash. "Keep the change," he said casually. Outside the restaurant, he handed Julie a small help out for uni. Julie gave him a quick cuddle and a light kiss on the cheek, thanked him sweetly, and wandered off toward a waiting taxi. Craig wandered in the other direction, feeling very pleased with himself. The kind of pleased you only get when you think you've just gotten away with something. Julie slipped into her cab. Craig drove off in his bright yellow Mercedes number plate Blessed, about as discreet as a police helicopter. The Tuxedo crew followed Craig at a distance and watched him drive straight through the gates of Hope Island Resort. Now's probably the right time to introduce the crew. Michaela is officially Brendan's girlfriend, but quietly seeing Max on the sly. Dominic is single, unless you count his cat, which, to be fair, is the only one with any standards. Julie, meanwhile, is having affairs with all the crew on the sly, excluding Dominic, plus a postman, a laborer, and now Craig. You couldn't really say the group has a leader, but generally Brendan makes most of the decisions and the rest just go along with it. Max and Dominic are twin brothers. Max handles IT, surveillance, anything technical really. Dominic, on the other hand, is just good on the job. Anyway, back to the story. Max gets to work and finds Craig pretty quick. Facebook first, then the Miracles Church of Jesus Christ Hope Island website, which isn't hard to find either. And that's where things get interesting, because at Craig's church they're very big on sowing seeds of faith, which in plain English means handing over cash. A seed of faith is a donation. A $5,000 seed of faith gets you a bottle of miracle water. A $10,000 seed of faith gets you healed, or lets you speak to your departed relatives via Craig. And for a $15,000 seed, God will personally bless your business through Craig, of course. According to the website, Craig has a direct line to God. The divine powers apparently come from God. So does the price list. The Almighty, not just all-knowing, but apparently very business-minded as well. A bit more digging turns up something even more interesting. Craig hasn't always been Craig. Once he was Gus Wilson, a Gold Coast real estate con man, very shifty, and eventually locked up for 2 years at Buggo Road Prison. Fraud, deception, false accounting, conspiracy, racketeering. Somewhere between prison and Paradise Point, Gus Wilson disappears and then Pastor Craig arrives. A remarkable miracle, really. In no time at all, Max realizes they've found a prime candidate. Craig isn't just dishonest, he ticks every box. So Max calls a meeting, the usual place, a sausage sizzle at the Southport Broadwater Parklands. At the meeting, Max laid out everything he'd uncovered on Facebook and the church website, and Julie played the tapes.
Wow, Craig, that's amazing. You really seem to have your life sorted. You're such a clever man.
I try not to overwork myself, yeah. It's just the morning routine, count the cash, open the envelopes, daily harvest, yeah. Then I'm out on the Italian cruiser, may play a bit of golf. It's all about balance, yeah, Julie?
It didn't take long for them to agree. Craig was due for a full spiritual clean. By the time they were finished with him, he would be truly born again and speaking in tongues. And now the team gets to work. Julie kept Craig interested with plenty of flirting and plenty of little lunches. Meanwhile, Brendan and Dominic started attending the church to get a look at the operation from the inside. Craig came on strong about the importance of seeding. Brendan explained they weren't in a position to seed much because they needed more work. Craig told them plenty of church members had pools, and that they could start by doing his. So before long, they found themselves at Craig's house for the pool job. Craig was out, but Robin was home, stretched out on a deck chair by the pool. And the moment they arrived, she grabbed Dominic and dragged him inside to have a look at a blocked pipe in the ensuite. While Dominic was occupied, Brendan had a look at the alarm system. As it turned out, it was the same setup used across the entire estate, bought in bulk by the dodgy developer from Shanghai Charlie, $50 a unit. The battery was sitting right there in the meter box, so kill the power, remove the battery, and the whole thing was useless. While he was at it, Brendan slipped a tracker under Robin's car. Not long after, Dominic reappeared, sweating, shirt on back to front, and the two of them finished up the pool clean and headed off, with Robin giving them a cheerful wave from the window. Meanwhile, Julie and Craig were on holidays in Noosa, which Craig explained to Robin he was going to a pastor's convention. At Noosa the drinks were flowing, and at one point Julie produced a small bag of a white powder substance. They both indulged. What exactly it was, we won't say. This is a cartoon. After that, Craig opened right up, and once he started, he didn't stop. He bragged about everything, the money, the lifestyle, the operation, and at one point proudly explained that he owned a solid gold statue of Jesus. 3 kilos, pure, 24 karat, painted over so no one would ever know. The church, he explained, was a gold mine. His role was not just pastor, but treasurer as well. People just handing him cash. Money moves offshore through a charity in Papua New Guinea, gets cleaned, and comes back as luxury property on the Gold Coast. He even admitted the whole thing was a scam, and said he didn't even believe in God. Julie recorded every word and took us some highly incriminating photos. A few days later, the crew starts applying pressure. Max calls Craig from a private number. "Gus Wilson, how are you, Gus? Bogo Road Prison, the Papua New Guinea charity scam. We know all about you, Gus. Be at the Labrador boat ramp, 7 o'clock tonight." The line goes dead. Not long after, a text comes through that looks like it's from Julie. Craig opens it. A photo of them, going for it. Then another message, an audio file. He presses play. His own voice, laughing, bragging about the church scam. Craig knows he's in deep shit. Craig tries to call Julie and gets a message. "The number you are calling is disconnected." That night, Labrador boat ramp is quiet. Max blends in with the homeless, watching, waiting in case Craig gets stupid. Craig pulls up in the yellow Mercedes with a shady-looking ex-crim in the passenger seat, someone Brendan recognizes straight away from Craig's church. Brendan gets in the back. "You scam people, we scam scammers. That's how we operate, Craig." Craig looks at him. "You, Dominic, Julie, if that's even her real name, and... Okay, so what do yous want?"
500,000. Jesus.
Brendan says 21 days as he gets out of the car. Max watches as the Mercedes pulls away. Shortly after, Don tells Craig he's out and won't be getting involved. That Thursday night, Julie and Max turn up to church. Julie is wearing a school uniform. She's one of those girls where if someone said she was 15, you wouldn't question it, and if someone said she was 25, you wouldn't question that either. She just has that look, you can't quite place her age. They sit quietly, watching Craig run the service. The moment he sees them, he's visibly shaken, his composure slipping as it all hits him at once. His mind starts racing, and it shows. Julie and Max can read him clearly. That weekend, Craig takes the family to Coffs Harbour. Very predictable. It's what crims do when the heat's on. Get away, take the family somewhere safe, clear their heads, and think about their next move. The crew knows exactly where he is. They've got him tracked. In the early hours of the morning, Brendan and Dominic paddle up the canal in a canoe, right under the nose of security. They get inside Craig's house without any trouble. They've been there before. They first find the statue, then the safe. It's packed tight, then every drawer, taking everything of value. And then, once it's done, they make themselves at home, cook up some bacon and eggs, put the footy on, feet up, like they own the place. No rush, no pressure. By the early hours of the next morning, they leave the same way they came. Straight past security, quiet, clean, and without drawing any attention. Craig and Robin return home. Inside, they realize they've been completely cleaned out. The statue's gone. The safe is empty, all the jewelry gone. Dirty plates and empty beer cans are scattered across the kitchen and lounge. They just stand there, shaken, overwhelmed, hit with that sickening feeling of being violated. They cling to each other, knowing there's nothing they can do, no one to call, no help coming, just silence. And what's been left behind. On the 21st day, the call finally comes. Old Southport Tigers Football Club car park, 7 o'clock, come alone. The line goes dead. By the time Craig arrives, it's dark. The place is dead. The old clubhouse sits empty, windows black, paint peeling, long abandoned. Craig pulls in with briefcase sitting on the passenger seat and his hands locked tight on the wheel. Craig waits, absolutely shitting himself. The passenger door opens and Brendan slides in. Craig pushes the briefcase across. Brendan opens it and looks down at the stacks of cash, flicking through them. He shuts the case, then turns and looks straight at Craig. The funny thing about you, Craig, you actually believe your own bullshit. You stand up there every Sunday talking about salvation. Meanwhile, you're laundering money through Papua New Guinea and snorting lines in Noosa with a girl half your age. Craig says nothing. He can't. Brendan reaches into his jacket. Craig tenses instantly, his heart jumping into his throat. But Brendan doesn't pull a weapon. Instead, he takes out a photo and places it gently on the dash. It's Craig's family. Craig's blood runs cold. Brendan opens the door. Without looking back, he walks off into the dark. A couple of nights later, the crew meets at Brendan and Michaela's apartment. 5 neat piles of cash sit on the table. Just over $1.5 million, roughly $300,000 each. Not bad for a few weeks' work. They're all celebrating and indulging in a white powder substance. What it is, we won't say. This is a cartoon. Max and Dominic are already distracted, scrolling through an escort site called Swedish Delight. Strict standards, nothing under an 8 out of 10, nothing under 1,000 an hour, nothing over 25 years old. Dominic nods. Finally, a business with morals. They grab their keys and head off. As soon as they're gone, Julie and Michaela start kissing. Brendan watches for about half a second, then the 3 of them disappear into the bedroom. The next morning, Brendan wakes up, one arm around Michaela and the other around Julie. He stares at the ceiling, smirks, and says, "Whoever said crime doesn't pay."
Please don't go down to dirty Southport. You lose your soul, dirty Southport. Shifty, dirty people. Dirty Southport.